Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Jerry, and this is the final installment of this build, and it's going over the costs. This turned out to be a little bit more expensive than I thought it was going to be, but we'll get into it. So today, I have my grandson Raylan with me. He's going to help us out. He's 16 months old. You may have seen him in a few of my other videos. So Raylan helped with this build a little bit too. One of the things I've been doing for Raylan, and I'm going to do it with my next grandson too, is I've been buying his tools for birthdays and Christmas. Tools that when he's 16, 17, 18 years old, he will appreciate. So this year he got a big set of box wrenches. Box wrenches I got him this year for Christmas. So that was fun. So let's go over this thing. Now this was an interesting build. Like I mentioned before, a gentleman named Jeffrey Weaver built something very similar to this on his Frontier OS 27. I have no idea the electronics he used or anything along the lines of that. So I'm not taking all the credit for this. Screws are something I've always thought about. You know, it's one of the simple machines, you know, wedges, screws, pulleys, levers. Wait, there's 5 of them. Lever, screw, pulley, wedge. Oh, wheel and axle. 5 simple machines. And it's one of them. So, you know, the Frontier used to have a cable system on it. I completely removed all that and I went with the screws. So let's just talk about some of the costs on that. Now the screws were probably the most pricey part, but they weren't as expensive. I went back through the receipts, and I will show you pictures along the way of each thing I have here. And I'll even, if I have the receipts and stuff, I'll take some screenshots of them and let you guys check it all out. So let's start with the screws. We have 2 screws in here, one on each side, right alongside next to the pillar. 2 Acme 1-inch screws. They're 1 in 5 twist. So that means every 5 times it goes around, it goes up 1 inch. Those were $83.99 a piece for a total of $167.98. And mine are stainless. I thought there were more than that. Next part of the mechanics is the 2 bronze nuts along with their flanges. They were $61.78 a piece for a total of $123.56. Then we have 6 sprockets, number 46 sprockets. I don't recall the tooth, how many teeth are on them. I have 6 of those. Those were $16.45. I didn't do the math, I see, but I'll do the math and put it on the screen here. Then I have 4 pillow block bearings that have 2 holes in them. Those were $17.44 a pair. So I have 2 of those for $34.88. Then I have 4 4-hole pillow block bearings. $24.04 for all 4 of those. I did mention I would only use the 2-bolt pillow block bearings next time instead of the 4-bolt. 4-bolt they were just kind of cumbersome, just in the way a few times. Then I have a 17mm sprocket that is on the motor. That's a 20 tooth. That was $24.83. So then I have the chain. I had to buy 2 lengths. The first piece I bought was a 10-foot length for $21.95, and I was about 8 inches short of being able to do the whole thing. So I bought another 5 feet, and that was $14.75. So 15 feet of chain, and I used 11 feet of it. Next up, the idler sprockets. 2 of those were $17.45 a piece for a total of $34.90. Now, I mentioned I wasn't going to let you know about all the wiring and that, but I figured I might as well. This is my build, and this is how much it's going to cost me. Hey, buddy. Oh, your hands got dirty. Don't put those in your mouth. He was playing with the chain, and he's got a little cold. All right, so let's look at the wiring. All the wiring let's see. Yep, the wiring cost, all the cable, I thought was not bad, was $110.66. Plus, I did have to buy one other piece of wire for $29.43. Something else I forgot to mention. I had to have the screws, the ends turned to fit the pillow block bearings, and some keyways cut in them. The cost for machining was $200. The Apache box I put everything in from Harbor Freight was $44. Now, I'm not giving you the cost of the items that I've used on the Powerfeed for the carriage going back and forth. Then I needed to step this up from 12 volt to 24 volt. So that transformer was $12.98. Sorry? That was the 24 volt to 12 volt. Let's go back to the 12 volt to 24 volt transformer. That was $32.99. So that's on the mill. Goes from the battery to the transformer, sends 24 volts down 12, number 12 wire, stranded wire to the Apache box, and that was $32.99. The amp meter was $17.99. The 30 amp double pull, double throw toggle switch. I thought I bought a momentary switch. I ended up buying it. It's an on, off, on. It's click. I was hoping you'd hold it, but that's the up, down. That was $17.95. And then the linear actuator, that was already previously purchased, but I smoked that one because it wasn't rated for 24 volts. So once I get to the box, I have to step it back down to from 24 volts to 12 volts for the linear actuator, and that transformer was $12.98. So with everything, I think I have everything listed here, with a grand total, hang on guys, this is gonna hurt. And I hope my wife doesn't hear this. She's going to though. $839.64. I believe that is almost the price of Woodland Mills power up-down feed for their mill that attaches to the cable system. Leaving that cable system on, I believe you could probably build that without screws for $200 using the cables. Now, I'll never have to replace these screws. I shouldn't have to. And we'll see how durable this is. Do the chains stay on? If everything's tensioned properly, they should. The screws rattle loose. I've Loctited most of the screws. There's a couple more I have to do. But I'm really happy with it. Now, one thing I'm starting to notice, he's been really good today. One thing I'm starting to notice is with that amp meter, those wheelchair motors. Now, I bought those wheelchair motors several years ago. I happened to have them laying around, and I bought them before I even built the Powerfeed for the carriage going back and forth. And I believe I paid about $80 for those, for two of them. I look on eBay, they're anywhere from $80 to $100. They're Electric Craft, and I'm going to give you some photos of them because people keep asking me about these motors, the sizes. There's not one model number on this motor that I can find. But I will put a link in the description to the company's website, and I'll show some photos of those motors here, so with a scale, so that way you can see how big they are if you wanted to purchase them. No problems with the power feed down the carriage at 24 volts. Very powerful, very fast, using about 2 amps. Now, lifting this is a different story. Using that screw to lift, I'm running about 16 amp. The motor's doing it just fine, no problem at all, but it's using a lot more power. Now, I don't know how much power I use cutting through a log, so that'll be interesting to see how much power it takes to move the sled through the log, the carriage through the log, with the blade going. So I should be able to tell you talking to him? I should be able to tell as the blade's starting to dull, I should start using up more power. I think it's going to be a solid build. You know, I think if and when I have problems, and I suspect I'll have my share of issues here and there, you know, to keep working bugs out, just like my carriage feed last year, not constantly, but every now and then I had to replace a switch, or I used the wire nuts back in there and butt connectors. This time everything's soldered, so hopefully it will stay together a little bit better. Rayland, what do you think, buddy? See the camera? Can you say hello? He's pretty shy right now. It's a little chilly in the garage. We do heat this garage. It's about 62 in here right now. So he's comfortable. We're both pretty comfortable right now. So this thing's ready to go. I've got a little maintenance to do on the mill this week. I want to change the oil. I've not straightened out my engine. Make sure my blade guides are adjusted. And I'm not going to, unless you want me to, show you all that. I probably won't show you changing the oil. Maybe I'll show you the blade guide adjustment. I've done that before. What I do is I just put a feeler gauges top and bottom. I think I used 10 thousandths feeler gauges top and bottom and adjusted them just so they're touching. That gives you about 20 thousandths of slop in there. I'm very happy with this mill. You won't be disappointed if you get this mill. I've done a lot to it. I put extensions on it. I put the power feed on it. I've changed the valve, water tank. I've made the up-down carriage. I've changed all the log stops with roll. I put bearings on all the log stops so the logs roll. I've painted the bearings. I've notched the paint. I've painted the log stops. I've notched the log stops so they go actually get a positive lock when the screws go in. So there's been a lot of modifications to this mill to make it more user-friendly for myself, but it's very user-friendly just to start with. So I'm just trying to make things simpler. And why am I doing, that's one reason. The other reason, I just wanted to, I like doing this kind of stuff. I just like to see how I can take a cheap home, I shouldn't say cheap, but a homeowner's model log mill and turn it into something that's more productive than just pushing it back and forth. It's not a wood miser. It's not a Cook's. But he likes that chain. We're going to have to wash you up. But it's a very adequate mill. So, guys, that will do it. If there's anything you want to see, shoot me a message. I've not solved, you guys came up with some great ideas with this cable management system. I've not solved what I'm going to do yet. I just want to get this thing going, and then as I'm using it, I'll determine whether I go above. If I ended up buying, what are you saying? If I end up buying, I just realized my mic's down here. I hope you can hear me. He's leaning against it. Probably a bunch of noise. What were we just talking about, Rayland? I don't recall. That happens. Oh, and here comes. Come here, Abby. Abby wants into the shot. Come on up. Come on. I got Abby, I got Rayland. So, guys, that's going to do it for this video, this series. I think this is part 7 in this series, and maybe even 8. Sorry about all the videos, but I wanted to show it to you piece by piece. So, take care, guys, and I'll see you at the mill next time.